will start up with our webinar. So, hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Today, we will be talking about the impact of 5G on robotics industry. To tell you a little bit about myself, I am Karan Patil. I have done my master's in project management, bachelor's in electronics engineering. I am currently serving as expert for India Skills and World Skills competition on behalf of India for the trade of mobile robotics. It is a Olympics for skills, and Government of India has taken a really very nice initiative on that regards. I am also currently serving as the founder and CEO of Learn by Research. Learn by Research is a platform where you can connect with researchers all over across India. You can search and identify grants where your projects can get a good amount of funding. You can also launch your own research projects or even be a part of research projects where you can skills, publish your research papers, and build your research profile. Screen is visible. Okay. So, with the advent of 5G, more and more devices, more and more new types of machines and objects will be connected to the internet, and they will have the superpower to get multitudes of data transfer at various locations. So, recently we have seen a trend of IoT where all our now upcoming devices are connected to internet. For an example, the most basic one that we all have at our homes is a refrigerator. Nowadays, refrigerators are coming with internet connectivity where they are now able to connect to your home Wi-Fi, and you can control the temperature of your refrigerator from your mobile devices anywhere in the world. Similarly, ACs have started coming in, our cars are connected. So all these technologies currently is relying on either Wi-Fi communication or 4G communication. But with the advent of 5G, this will be very smooth and at a very higher speed. So what 5G is bringing, it's bringing the peak speed of multitudes of Gbps. So when 4G was launched, the peak performance was at 20 Gbps. But now 5G, with its tested and controlled environment opportunity, it is offering around 200 to 300 Gbps, that is GB per seconds. That is the data speed we are talking about in the fifth generation of technology. Apart from that, it also offers very ultra low latencies, and it is more reliable with massive network capacity and increased availability for all. This has a lot of disadvantages also. We will be discussing them in the slides that are coming up. But this is about 5G. So, what 5G will be doing, or why 5G is very critical, is not for the day to day communication that is going to change. It is going to be the same that we are having right now. But more and more objects are going to be connected to the internet. And secondly, we will be having a better speed, a better bandwidth to play around with in the 5G technology. So, what 5G is enabling, what 5G is exactly doing? First of all, 5G is enabling machine to machine communication, which is also known as Internet of Things. Currently, Internet of Things requires a lot of data speed. We transfer a lot of data from one devices to the another, then we do data analysis, and then we gather around that data. We try to identify some critical information on it, and then we try to process that information to increase the capability or the reliability of that particular machine. So this type of technology will enable machine to machine communication. Now even fridges can communicate to one another. They can identify the optimum temperature in one kind of surrounding and try to give you the best optimum food value that you are trying to preserve in the refrigerator. So this type of communication is possible with 5G machine to machine communication. Second thing is ultra reliable low latency communication. Now, what do we mean by ultra reliable low latency communication? In real time control systems or in real time devices, maybe we talk about industrial robots or maybe cars. So, in that, we need to have very high amount of safety. We need to have our data coming up at a very high speed. Imagine that your car is connected to an algorithm which is on a cloud, and that car is accessing that data via 5G technology. And the reliability of the sensors is on that algorithm. There's a pedestrian who is crossing on the road, and the sensors that the data that the sensors are capturing, that is to be processed at a cloud network. Then at that time, if there is any latency, if there is any delay, then mishaps can happen. So to avoid that, we need very ultra reliable low latency. So our reliability should be very high on the data transfer that we are doing. Our bandwidth should be good, and there should be no latency. There should be no delay in the data that is being transferred and what we are perceiving out of that. So that is possible with 5G technology. Also, we will have enhanced mobile broadband, so which will offer us very significant data speed transfers, and we will have greater capacities to transfer multitudes of data. More and more quality of data can transfer. So right now, if I have to give one example, you might be having a pain while watching 4K videos on your devices through your maybe mobile network or maybe a Wi-Fi network. But if you have better bandwidth, if you have better broadband connectivity with you, then this can be possible, and you can stream 4K videos just like what you are doing right now with 1080p videos. So that is what 5G is enabling in today's market, and this will become more and more crucial in the times ahead. 5G works and how it is different from 4G. It follows a very basic principle, and I know a lot of engineers might have seen this kind of diagram where we talk about frequency and wavelength. So 5G uses very high radio frequencies, which means that the wavelength will be very low, which means that more and more towers or more and more networks would be required to establish, or maybe a new technology which can cater to the lesser wavelength needs to be matched up. So when we use high radio frequency, there will be a less clutter which we see. There will be a less noise that we observe. Secondly, it will also allow us to carry more information at a faster rate. Frequencies are traveling faster, so we will have more data transfer speeds. Now these bands which are at a higher end are called millimeter waves or waves. So these waves operate from around 8 gigahertz to 24 gigahertz. These are amplified with 5G, which travels right directly from the 4G capability of 6 gigahertz until 100 gigahertz. So even the large millimeter wavelength band is covered with 5G. So a huge frequency band has been made available for 5G, which can be accessed and higher data transfer rates can be achieved. So that's how 5G can differentiate itself with 4G. In the diagram given below in the presentation, you can observe that the 4G had a very low bandwidth. It had a very low frequency band to play with. But 5G now it has opened up a greater opportunity with larger millimeter wave bandwidth that it has created for itself. Now, why we are preferring 5G over 4G? Is there really a need to upgrade ourselves? That is the question. First of all, 5G is 100 times faster than 4G, reaching up to 10 gigabytes per second. So, what I was telling you in the previous slides regarding the tests that we have conducted. So when 4G was launched, the peak performance that 4G gave was around 20 gigahertz in a commercial environment. In a regular day-to-day users use environment, it was 20 Gbps. Now 5G, when the telecom operators have tested it out, it has given us around 200 Gbps of speed, which is much faster and maybe 100 times, 10 times faster than what we can anticipate in 4G. Secondly, which we talked previously also, lower latency rate, which is at just 1 millisecond. So you can imagine the fastness or the delay is just around 1 millisecond, which is negligible even to a human eye. 5G and network slicing. What do we mean by network slicing? Network slicing is something similar to what you know as SIM technology. So slice SIM will be possible because of 5G. 4G enabled us with the eSIM technology. Now 5G can enable us with the slice SIM technology. We can have slice SIMs with a single SIM card. You can have multiple operator, multiple mobile numbers. So this kind of technology can be enabled with 5G. Now, when we talked about all good things about 5G, we need to consider the drawbacks of 5G also. What harms does the 5G is creating, and why we should be aware of it, and what research needs to happen to overcome these kinds of disadvantages. First of all, any kind of obstruction can impact the connectivity. Now, when I said that the wavelength is low, this lower wavelength causes a lot of unreliability in terms of longer ranges that we have to cover. So if you are standing just below a tower which has carrying the 5G technology, you will have a very good speed. You will have a very good data transfer speed. MKHB, the famous YouTuber, had done 5G testing on his phone, and while he was there, he had shown this disadvantage of 5G. He was standing right below the tower, and he was getting very high speed on his device. But as soon as he started moving out, as soon as he started moving away from the tower, the speed was drastically reduced. So obstructions can impact the connectivity, and this will create a huge problem. This will require a lot of infrastructure from the telecom operators side. Second thing is, initial costs to roll out are very high. So as I said, that the infrastructure costs are going up, which means that the rollout cost will also be higher. The rollout cost is what we will need to consider when the technology is being launched. So that cost will also be on a higher range. That is what will create an obstruction for the users to switch over to 5G from 4G. So that cellular infrastructure cost, if it is high, the adaptation ratio should not go low. If companies are investing so much amount in creating an infrastructure and there are no users due to higher costs, then there will be a huge problem. So that optimum cost should be identified. Also, limitations are there on the rural access side. 5G might bring about real connectivity in the predominant urban areas, but those who are living in the rural settings, it will take a good amount of time, not some time, but it will have this limitation directly while it's launching. So when we talked about 5G, now let's drop into robotics technology and how robotics challenges can be solved with 5G. So when we are talking about 5G first, we saw the advantages and disadvantages. Now let's see why we are discussing on 5G in robotics. What are the problems that the current robotics industry is facing? And that's why we have come up with the 5G technology for robotics. So first of all, we robot. Many of the space organizations are utilizing wireless technologies. Their robots, they are sending it to Mars, Moon, and they are operating them from Earth. So this has been made possible, and they are working on these kinds of technologies. So even on the Earth, when the applications are lower than what we are expecting on the interplanetary systems, we need to have wireless communication established very well in between the robots. Now, the challenges in wireless communication for robots are that the packet transmission time between a robot and the base station should be less than 1 millisecond, and packet loss should be very less. Whatever information that you're trying to pass on from your system, It should be immediately available to the robot, and there should be no latency. Again, we are discussing about latency. Latency should not be there from your point of communication to your destination communication. Whatever you want to give, instantaneously instruction should be carried by the robot, even if it is maybe 10, 15, 20 kilometers away. That's the range I'm talking about as of now. So these figures are obtained with Ethernet cable or wired connection right now. So these latencies are currently being avoided by Ethernet or wired connections. But Wi-Fi and current 4G capacities are not able to solve this. And the charging our smartphones wirelessly. So even industries are going forward and moving forward with wireless technologies. They don't want cables to move around in their industry, and then robots are moving parts, so all the cables might move in the facility. So that is not what they are anticipating, and the Wi-Fi which they rely on is not able to offer the latency that is required. So 5G is the right wireless solution for industrial robotics. That is what we have observed with the tests and trials that are being done. And this can prevent and can upgrade the ongoing wireless technology in the robotic system. When we are talking about wireless systems, there comes a time we should talk about cloud robotics. What are cloud robotics? So we have cloud technology. We are aware of cloud technology, that data, algorithms, and even now your systems can run on cloud. So many processes are happening on the cloud. What is cloud? Cloud is a backend server with very high performance, computationally strong systems which are able to carry forward your calculations. They are able to do data processing for you. So that you're doing for systems or algorithms. Now, the same thing when you have to utilize for robots, then it becomes a cloud robotics. It's a very emerging field of robotics, and it is tied up with cloud computing, cloud storage, and other internet protocol technologies. And it moves or revolves around those. And infrastructure can be very low in these technologies, so the infrastructure can be shared. So AWS has recently launched their robotics division, so even AWS knows the potential of cloud robotics. They have started robo racer competitions where they have built up their robots. You might have seen the advertisements on YouTube as well. So even AWS has launched their robotics platform where you can use the power of AWS to perform robotics application. So this cloud robotics will offload the task without having any real-time hardware or any other requirements as such. So, what are the advantages of cloud robotics? Makes the robot smarter. You have a shared database, you have a shared repository, you have algorithms, presets on the cloud infrastructure. You can just pull those and deploy it for your application. So, AWS is trying to do that. They have developed repositories on their systems application, and particularly mobile robotics application. So you can utilize those capacities and you can straightforward start off with your robot and work with it. Secondly, the robots can transfer heavy computer tasks to the cloud. So right now robots are bulky, they have a lot of hardware going on in them. You need to have very strong hardware embedded in those robots. Nvidia has launched Jetson, Xavier, all these modules, and they are very high on computation and GPU speeds. But if cloud robot is the way that we are going forward, then you can offload a lot of hardware requirements to the cloud if your data connectivity is better and faster. So that is what we have. Also, the same technology can be scaled up to the old robots. So whichever old robots that we have, we can utilize them, and we can have a cloud infrastructure readily available for them, connect to them with the internet, and pass on the computations to the cloud so that they can also be used for a longer life. Their life can be increased, and the cost to the infrastructure or the industry can be reduced. When we talk about the advantages, it is important we talk about the drawbacks of cloud robotics also. It is very difficult to control the motions as on today, because these cloud robots, we need to have instantaneous responses. They need to have instantaneous support for themselves. That is currently difficult due to data transfer speeds being low. There will be high latency right now. So that is difficult. Controlling the motions is currently difficult based on the internet protocols and connections. Secondly, cloud-based applications can get slower and they can have a high latency and they can have network problems, connectivity problems, and at that time they can malfunction and create some disastrous situations which we don't want. Since robots and humans are working together, this can be very critical and can never be replicated or accepted by any sort of governing bodies. The second thing is they can be hacked easily. So if anything it is connected to internet and you have an array of hackers going on in the market, maybe some ethically doing it, but others there's a chunk that we cannot ignore which is not ethical. So in that case, our robots can again be controlled by someone we don't want, and some major information leak or major disasters can take place. That is what we need to avoid, and these will be the drawbacks for cloud robotics. Now, while we are talking about robotics, I would like to introduce you to HunarPro. As I said in the beginning, we offer three types of courses in robotics at HunarPro. One of them is robotics hardware engineer, where we teach you the mechanics and electronics of robotics, where you will be designing, manufacturing, and building up a complete robot. And then we have a course which is robotics software engineer, with which we try to control the robots and whatever hardware engineers are building at our facility, the software engineer back them up with their algorithms and with their skill sets. To combine these two, we offer a 12-month course, which is a robotics full stack engineer course, where you learn the hardware, software, and electronics of the entire robotic system. The way we teach is not theoretical. We have completely practical hands-on approach. All our courses start with a project that you take up, and with that project, we take the course forward. All our programs are one-on-one, so you will be getting personal attention from the trainers, and it is physical in Pune. There that what we offer. So if any one of you who is interested in taking up courses at HunarPro, you can visit our website hunarpro.com or give us a call. We are located in Pune at Deccan, where you can visit and even see what kind of robots in our R&D systems are getting built and what we are offering to the industries. Also, as a part of this entire training process, we have guaranteed internship and placements in core robotics companies. So you can anytime visit us in Deccan, Pune, and learn more about our courses. Again, coming back to our 5G robotics technology, these cloud robotics have a multitude of applications, majorly in two domains that I have considered. We have a lot of applications, and I know you might have also thought about some of the utilizing these kinds of technology is autonomous vehicle, and the second one is cloud medical robots. Autonomous data, gather data, process that data, and then give out to the systems, and then the cars can run more and more better. So with each meter or each mile that the car is traveling, the car becomes more and more accurate. Similarly, cloud medical robots are coming up, where your clinical services to the patients are being carried out by the cloud technology. Samples are collected by the robot, or their problems, their symptoms are collected by the robots. With the help of cloud algorithms and heavy lifting done by the cloud systems, immediate responses to the patients are given on what next course of actions or next course of medications need to be taken up. So these medical robots are aiding doctors in their regular patients, and they are helping with their practice so that more patient can be cured at a faster rate. With this said, 5G is definitely going to enable cloud robotics, and that's how we have seen in this webinar that how 5G, then robotics, and then cloud robotics, and then finally 5G cloud robotics are combining together to give users and the technological trend for engineers to move forward. So the advantages that we discussed for 5G are covering up the disadvantages of robotics, and that is what is forming as the cloud robotics technology. So 5G enables low latency and robotics requires low latency. So high latency can create a problem. Using 5G, the sensory input can be transferred to the cloud at a very faster rate, and the capacity is virtually unlimited. Also, the robotics can be connected to an intelligent data processing units, and their motions can be more smoother. That is what we are seeing in autonomous vehicles. So this exchange of information can also be attracted or attached in a possible way where latencies can be manipulated, and lower and lower and lower latencies can be identified by reducing the errors that we are accumulating. So, with this thing said, currently this is into the research domain. This entire topic is very heavily being researched in the industries as well as in academia. And even at Learn by Research, we are offering this kind of research projects and research opportunities for you. And Learn by Research has recently launched its web, Android, and iOS application, which you can join immediately to access unlimited research programs, grants. You can get your projects funded. You can have a lot of internship opportunities. Stay tuned and stay connected with all sorts of events that are happening all through your area of interest. So even though robotics is not your area of interest, while creating your account, you will be asked for your areas of interest. You can select the right area of interest, and all the information related to your area of interest will be highlighted to you, including research projects, grants, events, articles and blogs, internship opportunities, and much more. And all this is happening at a special launch price of just 590 rupees for the entire year. So you get unlimited access to Learn by Research at just 590 rupees per year. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you so much. I'm open to any questions that you would like to put up. Once again, thank you so much for your time and patience in listening to us. And I hope you would have learned something today, and that would be reciprocated in the questions. Thank you. Any questions? You can put it in the Q&A section, and we would be happy to take those questions. Okay, so I assume that there are no questions as such. Uh, Once again, thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate. Okay, I think we have got one question. Okay, the question is, the grants are from government schemes or private? The grants are from both. It's a whole directory of grants. So the grants, it's like Google for grants. So once you log into Learn by Research and you see the grants, check out the grants over there. It's an entire directory of grants. So you can even search for what kind of grant you want. You want fellowship, you want project aid, or you are looking for some type of small type of loan from the government for your project. So all these kinds of grants, they can be filtered and searched. So it's a Google for grants, what I would say. You can try to search it or try to scroll through the grants, filter it, and check the grants, both from private, government, authorities. Next question is, what are career opportunities for freshers in this sectors? 5G in robotics industry. So career opportunities in this sector majorly are classified into two sides. One is in the research side, and the second one is in the industry side. Again, first I'll talk about research, then I'll come into industries. Research is, you will have two types of domains. One is into robotics and the other one is into telecom. So in telecom industry, you can try to do research in 5G technology. A lot of academic institutes and even telecom operators like Airtel, Geo are constantly looking for engineers who can do some kind of R&D in 5G technology. Apart from that, academic institutes are also doing an extensive research. So even that domain is available. When we talk about research in cloud robotics, then a lot of academic institutes are doing this kind of research. Apart from academic institutes, I believe that only top companies like Google, Amazon, Boston Dynamics are working in the cloud robotics domain. not a lot of startups have come up in this domain, or not a lot of SMEs are available in this domain. Only top companies are working in the cloud robotics research domain. Coming towards the industry opportunities, so 5G in telecom, it's already huge. There are a lot of openings happening at Geo Airtel for 5G engineers, or for that matter, communication engineer. That is the correct job role that you can look up for. In terms of robotics, when we talk about, so there are multiple robotics opportunities that have come up in the past. A lot of startups have started operating in this space when we talk about core robotics. But if we have to talk about only cloud robotics and 5G and cloud robotics, then it's still a research subject, and you will have to rely on a good amount of research institutes in going there and identifying a research project for yourself. So in that case, Learn by Research can definitely help you in identifying good research opportunities. Any other question? Okay, so thank you so much. It was wonderful. And thank you so much for the questions that you had asked. I hope you have learned something. I would request each one of you to follow us on our social media networks. We'll be coming up with weekly talks and weekly sessions virtually for all of you, where we will be discussing about new and upcoming trends related to robotics, artificial intelligence, and computer vision specifically. But we will also try to add in more and more subjects according to your interest. So even if you want to uh, know about some of the technology, or want a clear understanding about some of the technology, you can always put up on our social media channels, or you can email us, and we would be happy to put in those for you. Thank you so much.